How's it going, guys, and welcome to 4MR Ranch. So it's a nice cool 100-degree day out in South Texas, but nonetheless we're out here at the range, and that is to test out the ATN quick detach mount. Now there's a couple reasons that I'm interested in this. Obviously, for one, I like ATN products. As you can see, I have one of their X-Sight 4K Pros on top of my 308 right now. But for two, because this mount comes in at a little bit under $100. In fact, it's available on Amazon Prime to ship straight to your door for around $98. Now, that's pretty phenomenal when you compare that to the fact that other manufacturers sell their mounts for double, sometimes even triple that cost. But it leaves the question, does it work? So there's only one way to find out, guys. Again, we're going to go ahead and test that out. What I got downrange is actually a 100-yard rifle target, your standard zeroing target, with the diamond in the middle and one in each of the four corners. I'll take a shot at the center diamond so that you guys can see that we are in fact zeroed with this optic on this rifle. And then I'm going to remove the scope, remount it, and fire at one of the corners, and we'll repeat the process until we have each of the four corners fired at, so that we can kind of compare where things shift around, if any. I'm at only 50 yards today, and that is in part because it is so dang hot out. I don't want to have to walk all that way and back if possible. So just keep in mind that any error you see at this 50-yard distance would obviously be doubled at your typical 100-yard zero distance. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take some shots. So like I said, I'm going to start off with the center target. Go ahead and get situated, make sure I'm stable. And here we go. Just leave that locked in. Alright, so it looks like we hit just right at the bullseye. Taking it off. Making sure that I mount it in the exact same position. Pushing forward on the rails and then locking it back down. Okay, and now we will go for the bottom left. Alright, just a little bit right again, so starting to believe maybe my zero wasn't exactly perfect. But as long as we stay consistent, that is what matters for this test. Okay, go ahead and go for the top left. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the top right. And last but not least, we'll go for that bottom right triangle. Okay, from what I can see so far through the optic, it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and look at the target closer up downrange. Okay, so here was our first shot that was used as more or less a baseline. But keep in mind, what's really important is that these are all kind of a baseline together. So wherever they're positioned in reference to the point of aim, you really just want it to stay consistent. And it seems like we got about 3/4 of an inch low there, about an inch low. We shifted to be about a 1/2 inch low, 1/2 inch right, 3/4 of an inch. So this one is almost exactly the same position as that. And same with this, except just a tad over. And again, so this one is really the biggest outlier of them all. When you compare the other four, they're extremely close. But that's extremely impressive. I'm very satisfied with that mount. But I wanted to take a quick look at the actual numbers. So using the Sub MOA app that I have on my phone, I took a picture of each point of impact and compared it to the point of aim to get a relative location. Again, it's really important to keep in mind we don't care how close the round actually went to the bullseye itself. What we care about is how much that round shifted in relation to the bullseye when aiming at the same point of aim. So I got a windage and elevation measurement from each of the bullseyes to give us a direct distance to the point of aim, and using that it gives us a remounting error, the greatest being at 10.7% and the least being at 4.6%, giving us an average error of 7.5% when unmounting and remounting this. And long story short, guys, what that tells us is that we have a 0.08 inch shift from our point of aim when mounting and unmounting the optic. And I bet that that number would drop down even lower if you were to factor out the human error that I introduced. Okay, so far I'm pretty pleased with that mount. For $100, I really don't think you can beat it. Now, I kind of want to take it a step further and highlight one of the advantages of using ATN's quick detach mount with some of their products. So specifically right now, it's going to be the X-Sight 4K Pro that I have on this 308 that we used. But let's say you want to use something else. For example, I have a 300 blackout AR-15, and the reason I'm leaving this uncut and unedited is so that you can see I have not manipulated anything whatsoever. So I'll continue to leave this footage uncut. Because what I'm going to do is place the optic on top of this 300 blackout. I will go inside the optic, and what ATN allows you to do is save different profiles within the optic, up to 6 in fact. So you just put it on. You want to make sure that your tension is still tight, and that just has to do with the different tolerances of the Picatinny rails on top of different rifles. So you want to make sure that it's still nice and snug. I know there's a difference in rail size between the rails on this flat top receiver and what I have on the 308. So it feels pretty good. There's no play. Obviously you want to remember where you mounted the optic. So right now I'm going inside of the 4K Pro, going through the menu, and then you can select different zeros. So I have my 300 blackout saved in here. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and shoot at the same target. I got a couple rounds in here. We'll just fire at the center of that bullseye since we've already taken a look at the target. And I will again just kind of demonstrate to you guys how this works. So again, bear with me. I know this is a little choppy right now because I'm trying to leave this footage unedited. Go ahead and hit record on the scope so you can get a view of that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look downrange. Okay, so same target that you looked at previously. That was our 308 hole, and here's those 2 shots of 300 blackout that I took. So a little bit of error, but within half of an inch right there, so not bad whatsoever. So that is something that I could confidently swap from rifle to rifle and still take on a hunt without sweating it too much as far as how much my point of impact is shifting. Okay, so I'm hoping that gives you an idea of the capabilities of not only the ATN quick detach mount, but as well as the ATN line of optics as well. Now, if you want to take it even further, then you can do something along these lines. So as you can see, got a Thor 4 here. ATN does send their optics with these nice neoprene cases, and what fits conveniently inside the case as well is one of their mounts. So we have another ATN quick detach mount on top of an ATN Thor 4 here. So if you had a need to use thermal over night vision, then you can do so as well and save those different profiles and switch from one rifle to another. Another major advantage of all the different profiles that are inside of the ATN optics is if you want to change from subsonic to supersonic, suppressed to unsuppressed, you can do that as well. And I myself have a profile saved depending on if I'm shooting suppressed or unsuppressed. The possibilities are really endless when you have this kind of system. I highly recommend you check it out. I do have full in-depth reviews of both of these optics. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested further, really getting into the nitty-gritty and the details of these optics. But to recap, before I get off track too much, for $100, this mount really just can't be beat. I'm extremely pleased with how it performed today, and hopefully the footage shows that as well. As always, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to stop by the 4MR Ranch YouTube channel, and have a good one.